Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Today we have May 5th, and this is it's the community meeting, starting with our first topic. Vivek, do you want to?
Yeah, so I just kind of want to bump this up again. Just kind of want to get feedback and was just kind of looking for some kind of assistance. So if someone can just go through the feature and just kind of feedback on it, that'd be great. So that I just want to understand if this is the correct architecture that we're following, or any other kind of feedback would be really helpful. So I think I'm just hoping for some kind of like someone to just look at it. If if folks have um, like a little bit of time, because it's a kind of a big PR, and then I've tried to break it down into parts so that it's easier to review part by part, and I've tried to logically break it down in the sense of like this is the most foundational thing, and then I've started adding stuff on top. Somewhere it's like I've added the client stuff separately so that it's kind of logical in that sense. So uh, try to add atomic components so that it doesn't confuse like a whole lot of people. And then with every comment, I've tried to describe what I'm trying to do. So yeah, just looking to get some feedback on it, and just kind of seeing what the community feels about this.
Okay, so mm my overall thoughts is that we not have a lot of currently we don't have a lot of maintainer capacity for reviews. And I think most, or at least most of my time is spent on our next agenda topic, which is addressing the action items from the issues. So I'm worried about reviewing and merging
Got it.
a
I
big
see.
big PR. I don't know if that's also like shared with other maintainers, but like like for me 10,000 lines of change seems pretty big. I so I understand that you're doing a base like baseline change, but so but I would say that maybe some commits could be done independently. With one requirement, I would want to have an issue that describes like maybe design instead of record, but the design, and gets a buy-in from all maintainers, or like the some of the maintainers that they will spend time to review it. So we can do a couple of separate PRs, so they are mergeable as a unit, even like add just an API, like because it's, let's say, 100 lines, so this is reviewable. Like 10,000 lines of code is much harder.
Got
But
it.
that would be my idea how I would go around this. It's just that we also need to buy in that if we can push such a big change in 3.6, which was meant to be like developed much faster, and now prioritizing like reliability, I don't know if we can start working on two things at the same time.
All right.
No, if
So I think the prompt stands that if I break this up into parts and somewhere like one PR at a time, the problem becomes it wouldn't make sense like in the context of me adding like a feature in itself, like by as a standalone thing, it would not make sense. So if I add like, so there's a feature that just kind of collects the size of the keys, and it just maintains the whole idea of that key is to just maintain the size of the key and the value together, and that's it. But the thing is, like this feature itself, as a standalone feature, would be pointless because no one's ever going to use it. So why would anyone kind of push that kind of code into HCD? Because it wouldn't make sense otherwise. So if the idea is that, oh, we approve of the technical doc and we're like, fine, okay, this is how we want to go about it, I can sure break down into 10 different PRs and submit each one of them individually. But the idea is that so there's also a technical doc. If you just look at the second comment of mine, there's a Google doc that mentions in kind of length, in detail, of how this was implemented, what this should look like, what the APIs are like. Everything is in there, and I've tried to maintain it in line with the code base. So uh, if if this technical doc can get some feedback, that would be great as well. So that if that's the idea and this gets approved once, then I can break down each single individual component and then push it out as a PR. It'll be easier to review, and it'll be just manageable that way. So if that's the idea, or if that's the kind of motivation, then I'd be up for it. But I just kind of want to get some feedback either way. Like, so if technical doc is the way to go, sure. Like, I don't mind someone looking at the technical doc and kind of being like, yeah, okay, this looks good, let's do it. So does that make sense?
Yeah, it's just like this doc hasn't still. I know I haven't seen the comments. Yeah, so maybe there is some Kubernetes people I recognize, and Piotr. I don't know if Piotr supports. Piotr, what's your thoughts? I assume you read through it.
Like, so, like, I'm not convinced, or like in general, in the situation with number of maintainers in etcd community, like it's hard to take significant additional functionalities, especially in context of Kubernetes API SIG stating that rather they focusing on priority and fairness. I think we were in this discussion. So there is no strong push from Kubernetes community to add this as a feature. And like in this situation, like either we need a strong company that has like one or two maintainers that says we are doing this, we are taking ownership of this part, we have critical business use cases to maintain it, and this way kind of make this part of the etcd distribution, or think whether we can add it as some form of abstraction layer, or some independent feature that allows to use it in without interacting within the core etcd. Like I had some thoughts, but I don't know whether they are good or bad. Like it was not something I spent a lot of time on, about whether critical operation to provide some form of the accounting and quotas is actually increment and decrement operation implemented atomically within etcd. So we take so user of etcd can declare some keys that represent quotas, and it's responsibility of client libraries to, every time there is usage of this quota, to do appropriate update. That's more difficult on the leads, obviously. On this end, to avoid the performance gap, this is supported natively as a increment or decrement by given value of the key. But
So,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Yes. So if to summarize, if I see like two path for this, is one is to build some form of alliance requiring this feature from more than one users, and building the case, and ideal situation for this is this originating from Kubernetes API SIG. The other path is to become maintainer and take ownership of this for the longer time.
I see.
Yeah.
So just to address a few things. So that's like, so the first one was Kubernetes. Does Kubernetes really have interest in this feature set or not? So as I understand it, etcd is used for a lot more cases than just Kubernetes itself. So I get the idea. Kubernetes is the biggest customer, is the biggest user by the by like by and large, and like they are the most kind of heavy users of this software. The thing is, there are other use cases which require this kind of storage isolation, and I think it makes sense to have it. But that's for the community to decide. The second part is ownership and shipping this feature, going through like the talk, making sure everything's fine. Um, if like one of the maintainers right now, I'm assuming we're short on maintainers, but if someone's ready to do it, and if someone's not, I can do part of it, but I obviously need someone else because I've written the features, so I'm kind of biased towards it. So if someone in the community who's ready to step up and do this, I can definitely guide them. Sit with if they need time, kind of like understanding what I'm doing. I can spend time explaining it to them, or just spend time kind of just realizing, oh, this can be improved or that can be improved. So I'm ready to spend time doing it. I just need someone to just partner up or kind of understand like, hey, this is how we want to do it. So yeah.
Yes. I think my concern is less about someone like spending time on getting this committed. It's more about when it's committed, there will be bugs. There is additional volume of code that requires thinking for compatibility with any other change we will add in the future. And this is long journey. Like I know that you are around the community at least as long as I or longer. So from this perspective, it gives like some form of confidence that it's not contributed and then like forgotten. But yes, and like it's why I said we need some form of alliance, like from the user saying there are multiple use cases. It's important for us, and Kubernetes 6 as was just an example of a critical customer that can that have the power to prove.
May I also add? So I work with Vivek. May I also add a couple of words? So in terms of maintaining, so even right now we maintain it as a sort of as a separate patch, right? So so we reapplied this, internally. So we do. So we want to kind of get it out because it just creates more work for us to reapply. So that's like one motivation. And in terms of the usage. Yes, the Kubernetes is probably not the best case for this. This is more for, I think, folks who try to build like certain multi-tenant use cases of etcd, which is not like which is probably not the most common right now. So it's probably going to be hard to get somebody like who will say, oh, we use it beyond the Kubernetes use case. I think maybe what will be, maybe we can create like a little document where we just say, like list these concerns, and we can make a decision maybe by the next time. Because another issue is that if let's say we don't want to merge this, then we would like not to maintain the PR, right? We can just close the PR then, right? But I think this is it does look scary, but it's actually a lot of this stuff is just self-contained in the sort of quota class. And yeah, there are a couple sort of entry points to that, but a lot of it is just self-contained or boilerplate related towards like configuring this quotas through command line, and gRPC. So yeah, I mean, it does look scary, but it's not that scary in my opinion. I think the most scary part is that it actually plugs in on the when the request actually during the request, so it can influence the performance. And that's if there is any bugs, that's I think the most sort of tricky part. So just my 2 cents. But maybe we can do this document and like a smaller one where we list the how we can get to a decision, and maybe next time we go through a shorter document, because I realize that the PR is large and the design doc is also pretty large. What do you think?
Yes. So two questions. One thing, when you say we maintain it, you mean you have an etcd clone where you have this patched in and run this on production? So in some sense, it's trying to avoid a fork, or maintain this just as a PR being mergeable in our repository?
As a patch, right? So we built so we take the etcd from the upstream, then we apply our patches, and then we build the artifact and deploy that.
So in some sense, you are so is it fair to say it's a battle tested, like production tested?
Not so about that, we kind of go in there, but let's say not in all the environments. Let's put it this way. Okay. So, but we are sort of on the path. So I think it will be helpful also to, I guess, to have a, we can get there and we can tell you when we got there, right? So, but what the concern right now is that the patch is kind of just basically, like our PR is kind of abandoned because, okay, it's a large PR, I get it, right? But we kind of want some confirmation that it's worth for us pursuing the PR part. I mean, if it's not worth it as a feature, like, let's decide that. So at least we don't spend time on in terms of like, maintaining the PR, right?
Okay. Just to keep the time, because we are 20 minutes in on the first topic. I think the doc is a good idea. One thing would be good to have a reason why you didn't go with the Piot's original proposal to have it on client side, like, because with one user and this being a viable client side problem to be solved, like that answer like all those questions.
Yes. And maybe last, like I mentioned this, but maybe if you chop more wood and carry water, like engage in the other efforts that are happening with the issues, with the PRs, with the test stability to become the maintainer within the etcd community, then it makes introducing such patches easier.
Yeah, I personally want to do more. Some of the anyway. So we are definitely willing to spend more time.
Yeah. Thanks. Let's just agree on the set of questions. Piotr, can you add any questions that we would want to have answered, and we can follow up offline.
Sure. So,
okay.
I can create a doc and I can just leave it there, and then we can answer all the questions that anyone has. I'll be just updating the doc.
Okay, makes sense.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for bringing it up. I think it's useful, but we just need to make sure we prioritize on the reliability, the things that majority of users will benefit from, not one.
No, that makes sense.
Okay, going to the postmortem. I don't know if everyone had a chance to look at it. I've shared it on the mailing groups, both Kubernetes and etcd. We don't have enough time to go through it, but I invite you to take a look. I think it describes most of the history and of what happened and why it happened. It also goes a bit more into what went, our lessons learned from the event. So we hope that the hope is that we can source the ideas from the community, or get some more feedback. And as for acting on this feedback, I think the most, if you don't have enough time to read full history, the most interesting might be the action items. So basically, what things we've we are trying to do to improve the current state. There, in short, I just wanted to bring up the two first ideas that I proposed as a critical. So basically, we even though we fixed those 3.0 issues or 3.5 issues, those have come out and passed our passed our testing qualification, which means which raises question: do we have enough qualification, and are we sure that should we invest, be happy and go around writing 3.6, or should we focus and try to find double down on 3.5, still making sure that 3.5 is qualified. So my idea is that first we should have an automation, or at least be able to reproduce all the historical inconsistent issue in our testing infrastructure. This way we start so we can start investing in it more, and also validate 3.5 even in more detail. And second, I'm thinking about both improving and making the data corruption enabled by default even in 3.5. So basically backporting change to introduce a feature that, because we hope is that with the announcement people read it and understood that they should be running data corruption checks. The problem is that it will not go to everyone, and if we can, we should make sure that everyone is aware of those issues, and we can to protect or to make sure that next time we start getting reports from users, they don't have the same problem of being detected really, really late and being not reproducible. And this is critical from meta standpoint. I will be also looking here if we can improve or make the data corruption check more reliable without having any performance or reliability impact. So those are two things that I think are critical. If anyone is interested in both of in any of them, I would be happy to collaborate. I will be I was on holidays last week, but I hope that I will be describe them and create bugs for them soon, so we can see the progress.
Yeah, we were actually interested in the first one, so we actually were thinking about this as well. Definitely, when you create the bug, one of us can, work on this.
So the only important thing is that here the priority is the most important. So basically, P1s should block 3.6 release, which means we should prioritize them and be over other 3.6 features, and make sure those are delivered first for 3.6. But even before this, we should first people who are running 3.5. We should be. We did what we needed to release a patch for 3.5, but we didn't have time to do more and really do everything what we can to make sure that 3.5 is safe. We fixed what was broken, and we confirmed that the fix works. We didn't confirm that we didn't make any more mistakes. Okay. Going to the next topic, Bogdan.
Yeah, so this is just a quick, so it's not critical, but what I noticed is that, so sometimes we return the revision in the response header. Like, for example, when you list leases, and this method is used in a couple more maintains methods. So the underlying problem is that when we return the revision, it's just based of the KV revision call, right? but the data that is returned in the body, for example, for leases, is is based, is core in the leases data, right? So what can happen is that because this is not synchronized, that the revision can be in certain sort of edge cases can be ahead, like it's not a revision of actual data, right? So it might be a little bit confusing because, like, I guess from the user perspective, you would expect that revision to be the revision of the data, not the revision of the KV. So maybe the solution is just to document it better. I don't know, or I don't think there's like a good change. I mean, otherwise we need basically to kind of somehow figure out the revision of the data in the body and return that. Is that clear, or am I describing this clearly, or?
So yeah, there was like maybe one related thing. We noticed that overall there are some gaps in leases. So have you found the issue in other APIs that or like?
Well, what I noticed is basically their revision. I guess I should have posted the code line here, but if you click that code line, okay, so basically you see here there's the new header, right? So inside this new header, that's where we construct the revision number, right? And this revision number in the new header is separate from the, you see that call like lesser leases, right? So it has nothing to do with that one, right? It's just basically at that moment when the new header call happens, we just get the latest revision, which can be already ahead of the leases, right? So I guess the question is in terms of when we send the response, what does the revision means? Like, because from the user perspective, I would assume this is a revision of the stuff in the body of the response, right? In this case, but actually it's in reality, it's just the latest revision of the KV, which is maybe also fine, but it's a little bit confusing, because it can be ahead of what's in the response. And there are other places where we just use the new header, we return some data, and so basically the main pattern is the following. So we return some data, right? And then we have this header with the revision. The revision is based of the call to the kv.revision, which has nothing to do, which can be ahead of the data, and that can create a certain perception of
Sure. Piotr, any thoughts, or we are on time? Just
so question like this is definitely extremely messy piece of logic, like how the leases are handled, because for performance reasons they are not really propagated by Raft. They are stored in memory on the leader, and the protocol who is serving them from memory is like naive and tracy. So it's not the quality of the synchronization we should have. And this requires probably deeper refactoring and probably a lot of challenges, how to not disrupt performance when doing this. One thing that's like short term on the table here is to making list leases, adding option linearizable. So it actually will coordinate at some exact revision between all members and then return a response.
Yeah.
So this will be an opt-in behavior. And in this case, we definitely should return in the header the revision that was used as a synchronization barrier. The question is whether this will solve your use case, or the fact, or you still want to have faster but best effort semantic of current leases that is also strange name.
I think the problem is different, that key values revisions only make sense for key value store, like anything like authorization info, I assume or if authorization API use header, it will have some revision and it will be totally not related or used for authorization.
Yes, that's second problem. What I say, we could potentially return the raft index, but I think it's something we didn't publish so far.
Yeah. So
yeah, maybe the solution is just to document better what the revision means, because I think it's just kind of a helpful kind of reference, sort of, but it shouldn't be perceived as the revision of the data. Maybe the solution can be just improving the documentation. Okay. Anyway, I don't want to. This is not a critical issue, but we can.
We are a little bit of time, but before we finish, just wanted to congratulate Benjamin. Great job on 3.5. And yeah, there was an announcement and agreement between maintainers, and we are soon to merge the Benjamin, or adding Benjamin as a new maintainer. So congrats to him. Thanks for all the work, and hope to see more work like this from him, and the community would be great. And yeah, that's all the time that we have. Thanks everyone for attending, and see you on the next meeting. Thanks.
Thank you.